Ever wondered how to navigate the intricate web of compliance processes while maintaining top-tier security for your notarial records? The solution is closer than you think. Introducing Comply Chain Guard, or CGG, a platform designed specifically for civil law notaries. CCG merges the complex chain of compliance processes with unrivaled protective measures. It enables you to stride confidently through the multifaceted terrain of regulations while ensuring paramount security for your records, deeds, and transactions. CCG boasts a regulatory compliance engine that keeps you updated with real-time insights tailored to civil law regulations. It effortlessly integrates with legal databases and ensures automated compliance checks for all notarial deeds and transactions. But that's not all. CCG also features advanced encryption to safeguard your notarial records. You'll benefit from multi-factor authentication and periodic security assessments, upholding the sanctity of every notarial act. Plus, with continuous transaction monitoring, you'll receive alerts for any discrepancies and comprehensive logs for traceability. And when it comes to reporting and analytics, CCG generates automated compliance reports specific to notarial acts. Dive into our analytics dashboard for transaction patterns and predictive insights. Why choose CCG? It brings efficiency, security, and compliance to your fingertips, allowing you to operate with unmatched confidence and credibility. CCG integrates effortlessly with your notarial record-keeping systems. Our API facilitates bespoke integrations, ensuring compatibility with major legal platforms and databases. And remember, our dedicated support is here to assist you every step of the way. CGG is the future of notarial practices. It redefines your work, ensuring accuracy, credibility, and peace of mind. It's a transformative experience tailored for civil law notaries. Don't wait. Contact Comply Chain Guard for a demo or more information. Step into the future of notarial practices. Your journey to seamless compliance and robust security starts with CCG.
Have you ever pondered the integral role of truth and transparency in legal transactions? Indeed, these principles form the very bedrock of justice and fairness. In the realm of affidavits, truth and transparency are paramount. They are the compass guiding the navigation of complex legal waters. But how can we ensure these principles are upheld consistently and efficiently? Enter Affinet, the affidavit network. Affinet is a groundbreaking platform designed with sovereigns, legal professionals, and businesses in mind. It is a one-stop solution for creating, verifying, and recording truth affidavits. This ensures a seamless and trustworthy experience for all parties involved. Why choose Affinet? Integrity, efficiency, security, and expertise. Our platform is built on the principle of truth, fostering transparency in each transaction. Record your affidavits with ease and access them anytime, anywhere. With state-of-the-art encryption, your documents remain confidential and secure. Plus, our team of legal professionals is always on hand to assist and guide you. Let's delve deeper into the features of Affinet. Draft your affidavits online using our user-friendly interface. Ensure the authenticity of your documents with our robust verification system. Record your affidavits in county records or publish them as required, thanks to our seamless integration with the public record. Track the status of your affidavits and receive notifications on any challenges or updates with our case management feature. Affinet is also compliant with RSIA, the Arbitration Registry Investment System Artificial Intelligence. This ensures we uphold the highest standards in the creation and verification of truth affidavits. What exactly is a truth affidavit? It's a formal written statement made under oath, asserting the veracity of specific facts. All affidavits are inherently considered to be truth affidavits, as they are the primary means for a sovereign to communicate with another sovereign or government entity. Affidavits play a crucial role in common law. They present only facts that the author can prove and are primarily used in commercial transactions and disputes. When recorded in county records, they become part of public policy and establish the facts of a case. If unchallenged for 30 days post-recording, they become the law of the case. It's essential to remember that public policy is established for public officials, not sovereigns. Sovereigns operate in the private domain, while the government operates publicly. Affinet simplifies the process of using affidavits in corporate courts. Record the affidavit in the county record, obtain 3 certified copies from the county clerk, and submit 1 copy to the court records. Present 1 copy to the plaintiff and another to the judge during court proceedings. As the author of the affidavit, you become the creditor or secured party in the case, and the case cannot proceed until your affidavit is challenged. A truth affidavit must be truthful and complete. It should clearly identify the author as a sovereign private person, living sole, creditor, claimant, and secured party. The affidavit should only state facts that are irrefutable. In conclusion, Affinet is your trusted partner in truthful transactions. For your next affidavit, give Affinet a try. Experience the difference of a platform built on the principles of truth and transparency. Affinet, your partner in integrity.
I'm going to ask you, as I segue into today's presentation, why is it that we, and I'm talking about quote, unquote, black Americans, why do we always catch the brunt of their BS? Why is it always against us? All across the country. That's not Detroit. All across the country. Why is that? And then I'll also, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
All right. And then I'll also add that every system that we're in, such as the school system, such as our police departments, all of these so-called institutions that we run, they all catch hell. But you go to the you ain't got to. Go to the suburbs. Look at Ferguson, Missouri. Now, I'm only mentioning that. I'm not trying to go back over it. I'm only mentioning that is because you have a illiterate Peckerwood, head of the police department, that couldn't make dog catcher in any city up north. He couldn't qualify as a dog catcher. But yet he's a chief of police running the community that's 70% black, and all of the city officials is 85 to 95% white. And my question is, how is that, and why is that the same all over the country? Now, you're going to say, or most people will say, well, it's not that way in Las Vegas. It's not that way in Arizona. Some more isolated place. Well, I would venture to say to you, any community that becomes 25% or more Afro-American or black, let's just say black, the dynamics and the politics of that community immediately changes for the worse for those blacks. Even when you move into say that you have plenty of money and you move into a very beautiful home in the suburbs, okay? Well, they'll greet you. So you come in, you're 1%. So in the next 10 years, it's up to 15% black, all professionals. But now they begin to move out, and eventually it's going to become 50%, 45 to 50% black. And once the Europeans get out, the property value and all of the good values of living in those areas start to decline. And again, I'll ask, why is that? And we're not going to say that black people are not, good citizens. That's a bad word to say. That they're ignorant, or they're cave people, or they just tear up the communities. It only gets tore up once the services begin to go bad, and they move in the underpaid individuals, such as your welfare and stuff like that. Once they start moving those people in, of course, the whole community goes crazy, and then you got a problem. So I'm back to square one to ask you, Why is that? Now, I'm going to give you the answer that I've been working on, and I'm still working on, and I'm going to build it to such a level that we're going to get out of this madness, and I mean soon. Now, I'll answer that by saying to you, when I went to class last night, and another gentleman is teaching the class, I just went in and sat down. And they were debating in the class why the water department was downtown telling certain blacks that they're going to still get their water cut off and get out of here because that's the way it's set up. Real nasty type attitude. And I just sit. I didn't say nothing. So when the class was over, I went to that individual and I told him that the reason that they treat us the way they treat us is because we are sovereign and we are indigenous. When you become sovereign and are indigenous, you become a isolated, and the word I want to use is corporation. Now, try to think about that. Every place you go, Bev, every encounter you have in the community, you run up against a corporation. Now, I've already said that corporation, trust, and I'm going to come back to trust, corporations, institutions, government, state, neighborhood, all the institutions that makes up a living society are all set up like a trust. If we join the trust, we have to go in as 14th Amendment citizens because the trust does not belong to us. Now, I'll go back to 1871 when Derek McLeod, I just had it up on the computer. Derek McLeod was a archbishop of a Catholic church. He was commissioned by his cohorts, I don't know how high it went, to go to Delaware and file for a corporation papers, and the name of that corporation was United States of America, Inc. Did you get that, Beth?
I got it.
And when he did that, he immediately, there's three components to a corporation. Number one, it's the grantor, the person who sets it up, and he gives everything to the corporation in order to set it up. The second one entity is the trustees. The trustees can go anywhere from 1 to 100, maybe 1,000. But you want to have it so that you can have control of the trustees. So he selected 2 individuals to be the trustees. Those persons were the seat of government of England, which was the Queen at the time. Notice I said the seat. And the seat of the Vatican, which was I don't know which one was in 1800, but the Pope that was in office in 1871 became a trustee. And every Pope since then are trustees of United States of America. Now, the beneficiaries of the trust were the citizens of Washington, D.C. So now you got to say, who was the citizens of Washington, D.C.? And they put in the bylaws that the citizens of Washington, D.C. were known as 14th Amendment citizens who were born or naturalized in United States of America. Now, all you got to do is just sit down and think about that for a minute. So that means that every person that lives in United States is a citizen of Washington, D.C. by default. Why default? Because no one asked to be a citizen. So according to corporate law, you were declared a citizen because you didn't say, no, I don't want to be a citizen of Washington, D.C. So that throws you into all of the debt of Washington, D.C., Inc. Now, Washington, D.C., United States was founded with George Washington. They were in debt when they formed the government in 1789, when the United States was founded. They were in debt because of the Revolutionary War. They borrowed the money from the international banksters who were so smart and know the game. They lent money to both sides of the war so that whoever won would owe them money. Or better yet, both sides owes money. So they tried everything they could, they, meaning George Washington, Andrew Jackson, and all them crooks, did everything they could to try and meet the deadlines for payment, but couldn't do it. So they immediately began to work from 1789 all the way up to 1871 to establish a government with citizens who would be in debt to pay the debt. That's why we are in debt and will always be in debt, because the debt of the United States is in the trillions of dollars. So everything you own belongs to Washington, D.C., who has to give it to England and the Pope. And it's all done by acquiescence, because no one has declared themselves. Now, since you don't know about it, is where the trick comes in. Since you don't know about this information, when you walk out of the house today, everywhere you go, you walk into a trust that's been set up. Your block club, it belongs to the city, which is a corporation. The corporation has its own rules. It has its own bylaws. You walk out there as a so-called, quote-unquote, free person, and what happens? They throw your butt in jail because you threw some trash on the grass. You say, wait a minute. Why am I going to jail? They say, well, you broke the law. Whose law? The block club turned you in, and the city sent out the police to arrest you. So everywhere you turn today, you run into a trust, quote-unquote, corporation, quote-unquote, a government, quote-unquote, a state, quote-unquote, a council. All of those names mean the same thing, a trust. Now, why is there a problem? Because you, trying to be independent, want to be a Moor, they cannot recognize you as a Moor, because in order to keep you a slave, they must keep your nationality away from you. We are the only ones on earth catching hell. We are the only ones on earth that the government, listen carefully, passed laws that we were second-class citizens. We're the only ones. And every one of y'all have fell for the lie. Well, I don't know why y'all cry and cry. The Irish were discriminated against, and the Africans were racist against. All of that bull crap that you fell into. But the truth is, none of those people, none of those nationalities have ever been in a government that had laws in the government that you could be shot on sight. You could be hung. They didn't have Jim Crow. They didn't have city ordinances. They didn't have Willie Lynch. They didn't have laws of lynching was legal, that type of thing. They didn't have that. We are the only ones that had it. So now you have to ask yourself, how did that be? How did that come about? Well, it's very important to know, believe it or not, since our history has been an oral history. Think about this. Our history has always been oral. When the European showed up, Johnny come lately, he was given the power to write. So he began to write down everything that he saw us do. Granny, that's why they had to destroy the black family, because the black family was a trust in oral government. In oral government, Granny was the kingpin. Granny was the trustee. Granny was the one that ran the family and dictated what would and would not be. She had every answer for every question you could possibly come up with. We don't realize it today. We hate Granny. We don't want to go see Granny. And they've done everything they could to make Granny be so out to lunch. With all of you blackies today wanting everything now, I don't know how they did that. I'm not a psychiatrist. But there's something about black people that we don't want to wait and build a nest of treasures for 5 years from now. We want it all right now. So using that as a machine, they have completely destroyed the granny concept. We don't give a damn about our mamas. And you know we don't give a damn about our sisters, but we talk about them every day, being those nasty words that I don't even want to talk about. And the European will pay the males, them young punks, to use all that bad language so that they can destroy our black women. And we sit back and take it. You dig it?
Yeah, we got it.
So now, what can we do to correct it? Well, the first thing we must do, since Granny's gone, we need to start studying a trust. And see, the most difficult thing that any nation can do, that's another word that means trust, a nation. A tribe is a trust. Because there's always a kingpin, there's always somebody gave it to them, a grantor, all the things that make a trust. All they did was copy. There's 3 parts to a trust: a grantor, a trustee, and the beneficiaries. Well, we all know the beneficiaries would be the children of the family. We know that. What we can't put together is the grantor and the trustees. But the problem is they have literally, and every time I hear it, I just look at them and say, boy, we got a long way to go. They tricked us to say the reason we're in the state that we're in is because we don't unite.
Yeah.
And we believe that. And that's the damnedest lie that was ever told, because no nation unites. You can't unite. How are you going to unite? If you look at the word unity, the question is, how do you do that? Now, I don't claim to be all around the world. Like my uncle used to say, I've been around the world twice, met everybody 3 times. I'm not going to tell that lie. But I've had my share of travel. And I'm going to tell you right now, the worst family of nations of people that I've ever seen was the Jews. The Jewish people fight like cats and dogs over in Israel. Then you look at the Arabs. Now, if you look at them as the Arabs as a whole, they fight each other every day. So now, those are just two. And I know everybody can name right here in the city. These Arabs hate each other. They hate each other, especially those that came over back when I was in the business of milk and party stores and trying to save these black stores. They hated each other because they were using each other as slaves. Most of them couldn't speak English well, but in order to become a citizen, one of the rules, and I know we got a lot of people out there that's got in-laws that's been in the slammer. And I'll ask one question. How do you get out of the slammer? When your time is up, do they take you to the gate and open the door? No. What do? They have to make sure you have a place to live and have a job or a place to find a job so you don't become a burden to the community. So all of those Arabs, all of those so-called immigrants that come into the United States, the reason they come to the black community because there's money in the black community, and they can build their own communities by coming in and setting up businesses in our community. And we fall for it every time. We got a new group coming in within the next 6 months, and they've already named the cities, and they're sending them straight to the large urban cities, and that is the Guatemalans and the Colombians that are being ran out of Mexico and South America because of the drug lords. They're going to bring them and put them in the black community. Guess where they're going in Detroit, Beverly?
Yeah.
You have any idea where they're going?
Oh, I know they're coming in the black community.
But guess what? Redford High School, what do they do? You know, they tore Redford down, right?
Yeah.
And they're putting up a Walmart, right?
Right.
And Walmart's going to sit right in Brightmoor, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to bring those people, and they're going to put them right in Brightmoor and build
They already building new houses over there.
Yes, they are.
And
they're all earmarked they're earmarked for the immigrants. And the reason they're doing it, number one, they don't have to worry about them putting burdens on the Europeans because they're going to build their own right in the city. And number two, once they teach them how to go to school, they'll become a voting bloc, and they'll take away the voting power of Detroit, and we'll have a white Peckerwood mayor every time. See, we don't have any blacks that have the vision. I haven't met them. I say out there, I apologize. But I haven't heard anybody speak on what they're really doing to the city that makes them nothing more than racist pigs. That's all you can call them. And as long as they talking to or being interviewed by an idiot black that have no idea what they're talking about, they go to college and learn how to ask questions, and that's it. No depth, no second follow-up questions, and they get high praises as being one of the best. We got them old blackies on television, 7, 2, and 4. They've been there ever since I've been in Detroit, almost all the time. And they do nothing but do what the European wants them to do. And let's just say that's cool. But we got 2 black papers. We got a black radio station that they could do some moonlighting or something to build those places up, especially the Michigan Citizen, so that we could have a daily black paper, or go over to Highland Park and build up the black radio station, television station, so they can have a news cast over there. But due to, I don't know, it's got to be ignorance on our part, because if we don't build these independent trusts, that's the key. I don't want to unite with none of you blackies, none. But what I will do, I'll set up a Articles of Confederation and unite on the issues of the Article of Confederation. That's how it's done. That's why they couldn't defeat the quote-unquote, the Indian, quote-unquote, the black man, because each one of them had their own family trust, and they couldn't figure out how to destroy them. Right now, they can't destroy Africa because they have independent trust. If you go in a city like Ghana and the population is 1 million, you can almost say they got 900,000 trusts in that city. And if you Europeans come in there and start doing some crap like they're doing now, want to come in and steal the oil or come in and do this, they'll make a confederation, and you ain't going to steal a damn thing out of here. And if we find any one of these blackies that have a trust that's going to unite with the European, we going to off him too. He got to go with the European. Whew. You telling?
Oh, okay.
Unbelievable.
Yes, it is.
It is.
So what about when I hear people saying I hear Europeans say that they are natural-born citizens. Is they still saying that they are 14th Amendment citizens?
Yes. Yes. If you read the Immigration Act, or better yet, if you read the 14th Amendment, it says natural-born citizens are born in the United States. That's how they reached us, because they had the 14th Amendment was to catch us, nobody else but us, so that we'd have the argument that I'm having right now that we do not want to be 14th Amendment citizens. See, that's where the problem is. You can't be a 14th Amendment citizen and then turn around and say you sovereign. How is that possible? When the original Constitution said created under God, who made you a citizen or made you sovereign, which is another word for trust. It's another word for trust. To be sovereign, you one person. Think about that. A sovereign individual cannot have someone to represent him. If he does, he's not sovereign. So if I build my trust and I got everybody that I want in my trust, I can protect them through my trust. Then I'm going to set up my ministers of information, ministers of army, minister of, that's another one, that's Interia. That's another one. They got about 5 ministers that go with all trust, and their job is to protect the beneficiaries that's in your trust.
This is WTDTA Radio. We're featuring these local artists that are spitting the flame to national artists that are changing the game.
This is a Where They Do That at Radio.
Understanding syntactical trust training and insurance documentation. Summary. The video presentation discusses tactical trust training and the role of automated underwriting software in securitization audits. The focus is on the DTCC Replacement Implementation Guide linked to Accord Life and Annuity Standards, revealing its correlation with global insurance standards. Various insurance forms and their functions are explained, including property loss notices, liability notices, and certificates of insurance. The video also touches on specialized forms for different types of insurance and the use of forms in arbitration processes. The presentation emphasizes upcoming in-depth training on syntactical trust banking and M3 conveyances. Highlights. First, the video introduces tactical trust training and the use of automated underwriting software for securitization audits. Second, the DTCC Replacement Implementation Guide is tied to global insurance standards and correlates with Accord Life and annuity standards. Third, various insurance forms such as property loss notices and liability notices are discussed, along with their roles. Fourth, specific forms for different types of insurance like trucking and commercial property insurance are highlighted. Fifth, forms play a crucial role in arbitration processes, populating based on requests and activities. Sixth, the presentation mentions specialized forms like those for professional liability, money transmittal bonds, and key man insurance. Seventh, Forms 831 and 833 are emphasized for reporting claims involving lawyers and other professionals. Eighth, the importance of gathering materials for upcoming in-depth training on syntactical trust banking and M3 conveyances is highlighted. Understanding syntactical trust training and insurance documentation. In the realm of financial operations, syntactical trust training plays a vital role in ensuring compliance and effective implementation of automated underwriting software. This comprehensive guide sheds light on the intricate world of insurance documentation, aiming to equip compliance officers and insurance professionals with the knowledge necessary for accurate and informed decision-making. From the correlation between global insurance standards and automated underwriting to the utilization of specific forms in various insurance scenarios, this article dives deep into the core of syntactical trust training. The role of automated underwriting software in securitization audits. Automated underwriting software is a key player in the world of securitization audits. These audits are essential for evaluating the compliance and security aspects of financial transactions. By utilizing automated underwriting software, organizations can streamline the auditing process and ensure accurate assessments of various financial instruments. Understanding the DTCC Replacement Implementation Guide. At the heart of insurance operations lies the DTCC, Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation, Replacement Implementation Guide. This guide, rooted in Accord Life and annuity standards, serves as a crucial reference for compliance officers and insurance professionals. It establishes a direct link between the DTCC and the core, which deals with global insurance standards. This connection is particularly relevant for those involved in commercial insurances, such as tractor-trailer insurance, where certificates of insurance originate from the core. Decoding the Accord Form Index. The Accord Form Index is a treasure trove of forms used in the insurance industry. From property loss notices to liability notices, this index encompasses a wide array of forms that cater to diverse insurance scenarios. For instance, individuals making claims on insurances will encounter forms such as Notice of Occurrence and Claim, Property Loss Notices, and more. Property Loss Notices. Notice of Occurrence and Claim. Intermodal Interchange Certificate of Insurance. Certificate of Property Insurance. Certificate of Liability Insurance. Evidence of Property Insurance. Evidence of Commercial Property Insurance. Statement of No Loss. Financial Responsibility Form. Insurance Binders. Commercial Insurance Application, Form 125. Accounts Receivable for Valuable Papers. Professional Liability Supplement, Form 187. Money Transmittal Bond, Shared Report of Execution, Form 501. Contract Bond Request, Forms 502, 503, 504. Professional Special Insurance Application, Form 825. Lawyer's Professional Liability Section, Forms 831, 833. Navigating the complexity of insurance documentation. The intricate web of insurance documentation comes to life through various forms that serve distinct purposes. From professional liability supplements to notices of incident or claim, these forms cater to professionals, specialists, and various insurance scenarios. For instance, Form 831 and 833 for lawyers and other professionals. Form 825, Professional Special Insurance Application. Form 501, Shared Report of Execution for Money Transmittal Bond. Forms 502, 503, 504, Contract Bond Requests. Property Loss Notices and Notice of Occurrence and Claim, the Reinsurance Connection. Applying Syntactical Trust Training in Practical Scenarios. As professionals navigate the world of insurance, syntactical trust training becomes crucial for accurate implementation. From understanding specific forms to using them effectively in various arbitration scenarios, this training ensures compliance and informed decision-making. For instance, Schedule C on Admiralty claim and notice of fault demand for payment. Cross-referencing forms for effective reinsurance. Embracing the future of insurance operations. As the industry evolves, syntactical trust training remains an essential cornerstone of insurance operations. This guide serves as a roadmap for compliance officers, insurance professionals, and all stakeholders involved in the intricate world of insurance documentation. By grasping the nuances of syntactical trust training, professionals can navigate the complexities of the insurance landscape with confidence, ensuring compliance and effective decision-making. In conclusion, syntactical trust training and a deep understanding of insurance documentation pave the way for efficient operations and informed choices in the insurance industry. This guide serves as a comprehensive resource for those seeking clarity and proficiency in navigating the intricacies of insurance forms and procedures. As professionals continue to engage with the evolving landscape of insurance, syntactical trust training remains a valuable asset that empowers them to make impactful decisions and contribute to the industry's growth.
I am here personally right now to introduce my next guest speaker. I wanted to do that myself for Mr. Jordan Maxwell. I've known of Jordan's work for at least 5 years, and I've had the pleasure of getting to know him personally for about 2 years, off and on now. And he has become a personal hero of mine. Before that, it was, well, Batman. But you know the Hollywood movie. The valiant youth who learns of his destiny at an early age and goes out and battles the forces of evil. Jordan is that hero in the flesh, at least to me he is. And to you, once you get to know him and his work of over 40 years, both academically and experientially. He is going to lay out the groundwork today of our history, our hidden history, a lesson that we all need to know about, of things that we aren't taught, things that are here, going on, right in front of our eyes, which is the best place to hide things. And we have an exclusive tomorrow. Jordan will lay out the groundwork today, and he will bring a guest with him tomorrow. And they will bring us up to date. And he has some very interesting, profound information for this contemporary audience. So, for now, he will lay the groundwork, give you a history lesson that you are going to want to hear. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the work and the experience of a man that I would like to call my hero and friend, Mr. Jordan Maxwell.
Good, it works. I want to thank all of you for being here with me. Is this going to give me problems because I'm... Okay. Oh, yeah, maybe we can turn it down in the back. We're going to have to turn it down in the back a little bit. Okay. I was going to do slides and talk a little bit about religion, and then talk a little bit about government, and but I decided that if I were to bring slides, it's going to take me all night, because there's just so much I want to say about the system we live under. It is the most incredible array of treason, lies, crimes against the state. It's just an incredible story of how this country operates, who owns it, and consequently, as I said, if I brought slides, I wouldn't get through tonight. So I'm just going to kind of meander over some of the points I want to make. And it may not follow a consistent pattern, but just kind of follow along with me. Because the point I want to make tonight is that words are very important. We as humans are word controlled. We are word controlled humans. You can say something to someone and they will beat you up because they don't like the words. You can say something to another person and they will love you because of the words. But what you need to understand is that there's a world of difference between a dictionary definition of a word and a legal or lawful dictionary definition of a word. When you go into court, when you're dealing with attorneys and judges, the words that you use do not mean the same thing at all. Let me give you some examples of what I'm talking about. Here it is. Corpus juris secundum, which is a complete restatement of the entire American law. Corpus juris secundum, which is a huge set of law volumes in any good law library, and I photocopied this. Under the heading of attorney and client, it says, an attorney has an obligation to the courts and to the public, no less significant than his obligation to his clients. Thus, an attorney occupies a dual position which imposes dual obligations. His first duty is to the courts and to the government or public, not to the client. So the first duty of an attorney is to the courts and to the government and not to the client. And whenever the duties of his client conflict with those he owes as an officer of the court in the administration of justice, the former must yield to the latter. So anytime you might have a difference with what the judge is doing or the courts are doing, it doesn't matter. They're the boss. And the attorney works for them, not you. Then in corpus juris secundum, it goes on to say under attorney and client, a client is one who applies to a lawyer or a counselor for advice or direction in a question of law. A client is also called a ward of the court in relation to his relationship with his attorney. Clients, if you hire an attorney, you're a client. And a client is a ward of the court. Look up in Black's Law Dictionary the word ward of the court, and it says an infant or person of unsound mind. According to the law, if you hire an attorney, you're an idiot. That's what the law book says. See if you can remember this quotation. For the first time, a civilized nation has full gun registration. Our streets will be safer, our police more effective, and the world will follow our lead to the future. That's it, Adolf Hitler. You know how many employees the United States Post Office has? No. How many employees did the United States Post Office have? A guess.
800,000.
Okay. All of you are wrong. 5. 5 employees of the United States of America Post Office. Now, we have a privately owned company owned by a guy in England that's called the United States Postal Service, not Post Office. Postal Service is a privately owned company. It's owned by some people in England, and they have a franchise to operate here in America with your mail. So when you go into what you call the post office, Just remember, it is not run by the American government. This is a privately owned corporation. And consequently, it's operating as a military unit, and that's why if you're drafted, you can go down and swear in at the post office, because it is under international military justice. So I think I want to read you something here to give you an idea about, because this is the world of occultism that I love, and this is the kind of thing that I love. I want to read you something. You probably have heard this before. Abraham Lincoln, and the reason I'm reading this is to show you that there is a world of occult power behind world governments. And most people think things just happen by chance. No way. And the whole idea is, I think, well expressed in this. Abraham Lincoln was elected to Congress in 1846. Abraham Lincoln was elected to Congress in 1846. John Kennedy was elected to Congress in 1946. 100 years exactly. Abe Lincoln was elected president in 1860. John Kennedy was elected president in 1960. The names Lincoln and Kennedy both contain 7 letters. Both were particularly concerned with civil rights. Both wives lost children while living in the White House. Both presidents were shot on a Friday. Both presidents were shot in the head. Lincoln's secretary was named Miss Kennedy. Kennedy's secretary was named Miss Lincoln. Both were assassinated by Southerners. Both were succeeded by Southerners. Both Southerners were named Johnson. Andrew Johnson succeeded Lincoln, was born in 1808. Lyndon Johnson succeeded Kennedy, born in 1908. John Wilkes Booth, who assassinated Lincoln, born 1839. Lee Harvey Oswald, who assassinated Kennedy, born 1939. Both assassins were known by 3 names: John Wilkes Booth, Lee Harvey Oswald. Both names are comprised of 15 letters. Lincoln was shot at a theater named Ford. Kennedy was shot in a car made by Ford called Lincoln. John Wilkes Booth ran from the theater and was caught in a warehouse. Oswald ran from a warehouse and was caught in the theater. I like this one. A week before Lincoln was shot, he was in Monroe, Maryland, and a week before Kennedy was shot, he was in Maryland, Monroe. Oh, I get back to this postal thing. You know that when you walk in a post office, you no longer have a postal worker. If your mail comes back to you, it says it's coming back and you should go to the Postal Service to see a retail clerk at the Postal Service. That's why they no longer have FBI pictures in the post office, and you can buy bubble gum and all kinds of toys in there, because it's now owned by someone that is not a citizen in this country. And consequently, I think probably the most extraordinary thing, well, this is a quotation from John Swington, and I'll have photocopies of this, and you can get a whole set if you wish. John Swington, the former chief of staff of the New York Times, was referred to while living as the dean of his profession. In 1953, he gave a toast before the New York Press Club in New York City, and he said this: "There is no such thing at this date of the world's history in America as an independent press. You know it and I know it. There's not one of you who dares to write your honest opinion. If you did, you would beforehand that it would never appear in print. I am paid weekly to keep my honest opinions out of the paper I am connected with. Others of you are paid similar salaries for similar things, and any of you would be foolish as to write an honest opinion that would be out on the streets, because you'd be out on the streets looking for a new job." And he goes on to say, "We're nothing more than jumping jacks. While our masters pull the strings, we dance." Consequently, our press, the media is, of course, owned and controlled by money. In the ancient system of the Druids, thousands of years ago, even 1,000 years before the Roman Empire in Northern Europe, there was a whole system of religion and government called the Druidic system. That system exists today, right now, in this country and in the Western world. All over what we would call the Western world is a Druidic system. And if you understand the Druids and their symbols and their words and terms and their symbols in government and religion, then you will see Druidism everywhere. One of the most important symbols in the Druid religion was the magic wand, like Merlin the magician with his magic wands, and Mickey Mouse and with his magic wand. Magic wands, the reference works say, were always made out of holly wood. Consequently, the holly tree is very important to the ancient Celtic Druidic system of religion. Hollywood is very important to this whole process of the manipulation of the minds of people in the Western world. I have little to no respect for Hollywood or anybody working in it. I'm very close to it. I live around it. I know many people in it, but I know what it's doing. A most important subject, well, I said words. And before I hit that, let's go to the word public in a law dictionary. The word public is the populace, the community, that vast multitude which includes the ignorant, the unthinking, the credulous, who in making a purchase do not stop to analyze but are governed by appearances and general impressions. That's the public as far as the law is concerned. Now let me at this point, well, here's one more. This is a doozy. In a law book, if you call yourself a human being, go to a law book and look up the word human being, and it will tell you, see monster. All right? So then you turn over to monster, and there it is. A law dictionary's definition of a monster is a human being by birth, but in some part resembling a lower animal. A monster has no inheritable blood and cannot be heir to any land. Consequently, we as human beings we're not men and women. We're considered human beings. And the word human being goes back to the Crusades. When the knights were traveling across Europe on their way to Jerusalem, they were fathering a lot of illegitimate children. And of course, the offspring of a knight would inherit the father's fortune. And the church was not going to allow that. So they designated all the babies coming from the knights to be acting like they're being human, but they're not actually human. They're not actually a man or a woman. They're like being human. So consequently, we today are like that. We're just acting like we're human. And consequently, the law reflects that. Now, here's the basis for what is going on here. Cecil Rhodes, British statesman and empire builder, in his last will, it says in the reference work in People's Almanac says, in the first 5 wills, Cecil Rhodes repeatedly called for a, quote, secret society, the true aim and object whereof shall be the extension of the British rule throughout the world and eventually the ultimate recovery of the United States of America. So there's a secret society operating around the world that has as its true aim and objective the destruction of the freedom of our country. And these people are British royalty, not the English people. The English people are a beautiful people, have a very beautiful history. The country, and even the UK, all 3 of the countries are beautiful countries with beautiful people. But the British royalty, in my humble opinion, are the most evil operation on the face of the earth. I believe they're behind the drug trafficking, mafia, bloodletting, and when David Icke talks about the possibility that there might be reptilian influence there, I'm going to give you my opinion on that based on my own personal research. I think he's totally right on this. I think there's a very good case can be made for the existence of reptilians. And I totally agree that the reptilian influence on this earth is frightening in its implications. And I believe this not because David Icke's reasons. I have my own reasons that I arrived at the same place a long time ago also. So if you are privy to the kind of research that David and I are doing, you'll see what I mean. There's a lot of very powerful proof out there that something very serious is going on. Now, the main thing that I wanted to talk about today, I wanted to talk about religion a little bit at first, but I've got too much to say about government right now. So I want you to understand something very clearly. When anyone asks you in this country, are you a citizen of the United States? Okay? Now, a lot of you may have heard this. I'm just going to give you a general overall picture of this. When someone asks you in this country, are you a citizen of the United States? What you think that they are asking you is, are you lawfully in this country? Are you lawfully here to do business and be here? That's not what they ask you. The country is called America. America is the name of the country. But in the 1860s, late 1860s, a group of men got together and incorporated a privately owned company. Anyone can incorporate a privately owned company, and a group of men did. They incorporated a company, privately owned, and they called the company the United States Company, Corporation. And according to corporate law, and anyone who has a corporation or a business knows that according to corporate law, all corporations must have a president. That's the law. And it must have a vice president. And it must have a secretary of treasurer. That's corporate law. So the corporation had to have a president and a vice president. Today, when you see once a year at the State of the Union, when you see the president come out and the Speaker of the House says, ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States. Everybody in this country thinks he's the President of America. America doesn't have a president. This is a corporate term used in business. The United States Corporation is a privately owned company. It's privately owned. And it's a 10-mile square that it operates in called the District of Columbia. Columbia simply means universal. This is what Catholic means, universal. When you start tracing back the ownership of the corporation called United States privately owned company, then you begin to see that if you say that you are a citizen of the United States, what you're saying lawfully is that you are an employee of a foreign corporation under international maritime law. You are an employee of a privately owned company. Therefore, if you are living in any state, such as California, and you're making money here, then what you are doing, quite literally, is moonlighting, because you are already working for and are an employee of a privately owned company called United States Corporation. But you are earning money in California. Therefore, you are a franchisee of a foreign corporation under maritime law. You're a franchisee. It's like opening up a McDonald's here. You can open up a McDonald's, but you're not the boss of McDonald's. The McDonald's Corporation is the boss. They tell you what you can sell and what you can't sell and how much it's going to be, and they call the shots. You can merely be a franchisee operating under their jurisdiction. So consequently, each one of us who call ourselves a citizen of the United States is in point of fact a franchisee of a foreign corporation, and once a year you have to pay what is referred to as the California Franchise Tax Board, because you're a franchisee of a foreign corporation under international law. Let me explain something to you. There are two kinds of law on the earth. basically two kinds of law. Roman civil law and maritime admiralty. Roman civil law comes from the word civil or civili in Latin, meaning the people of the Illies. The people of the Illies are the people of God, civili. And the civil law is referred to as the law of the land. But there is a higher law that governs the whole earth. That's the ones I think the reptilians are into. There's a higher law that operates on the earth, and it has nothing to do with the civil law of any country, because civil laws are different in every country. You can do things in Africa you can't do in Spain. You know, you can do things here in America you can't do in France, because the people's law, the law of the land, is different according to the culture. But when you talk about the maritime admiralty law, what you're talking about is the law of water, the law of banks. Banking law is called maritime admiralty. And consequently, this is why, incidentally, the Statue of Liberty could not be put on land in this country. It had to be put in a port. It had to be put in water. Why? Because it's not the Statue of Freedom, it's a Statue of Liberty. Liberty is what a sailor gets when you pull into port, because the admiral gives the captain on the board the ship ownership of your body. You ask permission to leave. And if he lets you, which he's most likely not going to, but if he allows you to leave, you have liberty. You don't have freedom. And as long as you call yourself a United States citizen, you are an employee of a foreign corporation incorporated under international law, under maritime law, and consequently you are a franchisee of a foreign corporation. They own you. Now let me show you how they own you. When a ship pulls into port, say from Japan, and brings in, say, $800 million worth of Toyotas or televisions, the first thing the captain has to do is has to give to the port authorities something called a certificate of manifest. He has to give them a certificate showing how much each car costs, whether it has 4 doors or 2, or if it's got air conditioning or not. Every car has to have its certificate of manifest, showing exactly what are you bringing into this country, how much is it going to cost our banks, how much are we going to have to pay Japan for this. And so it's business. It comes in on water. It's maritime admiralty, banking law. And so therefore, each item has to have a certificate of manifest. And the ship, when it pulls into port, parks at the dock. And wherever it parks is called the berthing of a ship. The ship sits in its berth. Now, when you were born, your mother, her water broke. And when your mother's water broke, you came out, and therefore you are a maritime admiralty product. Under international law, you are a product. Under international maritime banking law, you are a product, because you came out of your mother's water, and therefore you have to have a birth certificate. And the birth certificate has to be signed by the doc. Okay? And consequently, if you go to Sears and you buy something that's too large to take home, they'll bring it to you. And so they will tell you what time they're going to deliver the product. That's why your mother was in a delivery room. She was delivering a product under international law. Now, when you get the birth certificate, that is a certificate, a maritime admiralty certificate that shows you are a human resource. And the corporation called United States went to your mother and asked her, would you donate this body to us as a collateral for a loan? Because each birth certificate is worth, when it first started in 1933, I am told it was like $630,000 per birth certificate on the international exchange. And your birth certificate today is on the stock market. And look on the back of your Social Security card and you'll see numbers in red. Anytime you see red numbers, they represent your blood. You turn it on the other side, you'll see it in blue. Blue is maritime admiralty, the navy blue. And so consequently, you are a product that was bought. And on the birth certificate, down on the bottom right, where your mother signed, it doesn't say mother or parent. It says informant, because your mother was informing on you under maritime law. She was telling the corporation, I got a new chump here for you to own, and I don't know if you know this or not, so here's his paperwork. And it was sent to Washington, D.C. They took that birth certificate, and what happened, let me go back and explain that when in 1860s, when this privately owned company was incorporated called United States, like any other corporation that grows too fast, it started getting out of bounds. It started becoming very successful, and they wanted to move out overseas. I'm being very simplistic with this. There's a lot more to it, but I'm giving you the basics. Tomorrow is when the master will explain it to you in details. I'm just giving you the basic idea right now. But when the corporation called United States was founded back in the 1860s, it wanted to move overseas at the first of the turn of the century, in the 19th century, the 20th century. And so it started moving into Europe as a hostile takeover. They called it World War I. World War I was one large corporation called United States trying to take over other major corporations in the world, like Germany, France, etc. Each one of these countries are a corporation. So consequently, the United States was able to be successful in the corporate takeover of what the outcome of the World War I. But in the process, they lost so much money. The corporation spent so much money arming and making tanks and bullets and tanks to kill people that they won the hostile takeover of a foreign corporation, but now they're broke. Consequently, they are really in serious trouble now because they don't have money to feed the people at home in the corporation, and now they've taken on new corporations in Europe to be responsible for. So the United States corporation was in very big trouble, went to Europe and asked the international bankers if they could borrow money. And the international bankers said quite simply, no, you're bankrupt. So what have you got as collateral for a loan? And they came up with the idea that your birth certificate would be worth something like $630,000, because the banker said, how much can an individual in your country working for your corporation make from the day he's born to the day he dies on an average? And it came out to about $630,000. So consequently, the bankers made a deal with the corporation called United States to credit the United States corporation account in Europe with $630,000 per birth certificate. And this is why today this United States corporation doesn't care about how many people come into this country illegally or unlawfully. They don't care about that. They open up the borders and let them pour in. Why? Because every single person coming across that border is at least $1 million now in our bank account. And so that's why we want something called, we don't want undocumented workers. We don't care about people who are illegal coming into the country. We don't want undocumented, because with the documents you can cash that in. You take the and get that money from the international banks. So consequently, the United States corporation owns you. And therefore, when you go into a court, and why don't we even go to a court? You go into a court because you play basketball and tennis on a court. Why? Because the whole idea in a court is put the ball back in the other guy's court, right? I mean, the lawyer throws it over to him, and he throws it back to him, and the judge is sitting there as a referee. He doesn't care who wins. He's going to get paid, so he doesn't care. So the whole idea in a court is a game. And consequently, any time, well, there are 2 points you need to know about this. The judge is sitting there as a referee, and it's a game. And any time in this country, 2 points very important. Don't ever forget this. All law in this country, federal, state, county, city, any and all laws in this country do not apply to a man or woman. natural-born man or natural-born woman. All law applies only to corporations. All law applies to corporations only. I don't care what it is, parking tickets, speeding tickets, anything. It only applies to corporations. But however, you have been made a corporation when you were born. You were part of a corporation. So therefore, this is why all laws, or any time you get a bill from Sears and Roebuck, from your oil company, from a lawsuit, from a judgment in court, I don't care what the bill is, whatever the legal and lawful paperwork that comes to you from anywhere will always have your name in all capital letters. It's always in all capital letters. Your driver's license, your insurance card, your speeding ticket, whatever it is, it will always have your name in all capital letters. Why? Because under international maritime law, all capital letters means you are dead. That's why when you drive by a graveyard, you will see on tombstones the name of the people who are there. Their names are in all capital letters. Why? Because that's the law. If you're dead, your name must appear in all capital letters. This is why when you walk into a courtroom, you do not have standing. Only the attorney or the judge and the attorneys have standing. You do not have lawful standing. Meaning, if you drive by a cemetery, how many people get up out of the tombs and stand and talk to you? Nobody. Why? They don't have standing in law. They don't have a leg to stand on. Okay? And neither do you. Because when you walk into a courtroom, your name on the lawsuit or on the subpoena or whatever it is, or on the Sears and Roebuck bill or anything else, your name is in all capital letters. It means you're a dead man. When you walk into this court, your ass is mine. You understand? You are a dead man. We bought you when you were born. And that's why judges wear black robes, black ceremonial robes. That's why Catholic priests wear black ceremonial robes. That's why the rabbis wear black ceremonial robes. That's why when you graduate from high school and university, you wear a black ceremonial robe. You know what black robes mean? You know where that comes from? It comes from the god of an ancient god in the old ancient Sumerian Babylonian system, the planet Saturn. Saturn was referred to as the god of the ring. And his priests were the priests of the black robe. This is why judges wear black robes. Catholic priests wear black robes. Darth Vader wears black robes. Vampires wear black robes. All the blood-sucking murderers wear black robes.
North Avenue Capital started with a vision of being the best lender in the industry. For us to be effective, we needed to understand rural communities and the businesses that are critical for keeping those local economies thriving. North Avenue Capital provides financing in partnership with the USDA Rural Development Program. The main purpose of the USDA Rural Development Loan Guarantee Program is to encourage lenders to deploy capital into rural communities with the underlying objective of creating jobs, spurring on economic development, and helping establish and build businesses in communities outside of large metropolitan areas.
The USDA Business and Industry Loan Program is a secured asset lending program. We refinance existing debt, we do ground-up construction, we provide capital to improve real estate and provide working capital to borrowers across the country. The benefits of the USDA B&I program are the rates tend to be very competitive. They're very long-term loans, up to 30-year term and amortization. It tends to be a highly levered product. So oftentimes we can get up to 75% loan to cost on startups. And on the right existing business, we often do 100% financing. The types of deals that can be done in the USDA B&I program are all forms of commercial real estate, office, industrial, retail, hospitality, but then also specialized sectors, vineyards, wedding venues, nurseries, family entertainment centers, even oil and gas and mining.
In order for a borrower to qualify for a B&I loan, first of all, they have to be a for-profit business or a startup business, but they need to be located in a rural community. outside of a big city, which actually comprises 97% of the country. In fact, many borrowers are operating in rural communities and may not even know it because of their proximity to a suburban or metropolitan area.
If you have an opportunity that you think may be a fit for one of the USDA loan programs, you can find us at northavenue.com, and we're all over the internet. We look forward to working with you.
The alternative lending industry can provide a very lucrative opportunity for brokers and affiliate partners. Whether you're specialized in commercial lending or real estate financing, having the right funding partner can make the difference between earning thousands on a deal or losing a commission. Go Capital understands this. You work hard to secure your clients and deserve to be compensated. Unfortunately, due to increased competition, many lending companies have stopped working with new agents, are not providing adequate training, are slow to respond, and simply not issuing competitive approvals. By joining Go Capital's partner program, your dedicated support specialist will assist you every step of the way. As a broker, you know that it's not always a matter of obtaining a loan approval. You need competitive terms. Go Capital's catalog of loan products allows you to offer the best financial solutions to your clients. Options include business lines of credit, SBA loans, merchant cash advances, commercial mortgages, hard money fix and flip loans, bridge financing, equipment leasing, invoice factoring, and more. What does this mean for you? More deals, more commission, and satisfied customers. As a registered partner, you'll receive free access to the Broker Affiliate Sales Portal. This system allows you to easily manage your deals and also offers tools, training, and resources that will help you succeed. Frustrated with never being able to speak with someone about your deals? At Go Capital, someone is always available. Whether you prefer to call, email, chat, or even visit our office headquarters in downtown Miami, we are always available to answer your questions. While other companies may advertise the highest commissions, they often fall short when it comes to issuing competitive terms, making the process easy, or simply being responsive. Go Capital provides quality broker support and training, and quickly identifies how to best structure a transaction. With our multitude of loan programs, comprehensive training systems, and quality service, you can focus on more important things, generating more business. Need us to join a conference call with a client? Need help presenting an offer? No problem. Our loan specialists are here to help. For more information or to sign up, visit our partner page on www.gocapital.com today or call 1-866-257-2973 and speak with an account manager. Go Capital, where your success is our business.